Is enough being done where we can have a seamless marriage between what we are taught in our schools and colleges, moving into the world of entrepreneurship or corporate job?
The answer comes in only in 3 words. National Education Policy 2020. How our current education system can modify and we can relive the Gurukul world days back again. We have lost a lot of things that we had before. One was the thing of mentoring.
You mentioned about the idea of mentoring. When you say mentoring, what does this involve?
Mentor is nothing but parent and a teacher. Student has got 24 hours, 14 hours he or she spends at home. Rest of the time he spends outside the school. The teacher has to play a role of a parent. So every teacher needs to have a mentor.
Today, there is very interesting buzzword, ease of doing business. We are improving, they say. But I think we still have a long way to go. What is that one thing you feel which we as a country must adopt?
When you look at all these countries, they have the freedom to believe and do what they want to do. Nothing is holding them back. Look at Switzerland. Where are they? Look at Ireland. Look at UK, US. Because they got the freedom. Here we don't have the freedom. Here, acha, tu karega kya hoga tera aage? Do we foster people? Do we foster our own children for entrepreneurship?
If you could connect the dots from an IK standpoint and how it can help today's startups.
The core is the values, and values in 3 perspectives. One in terms of understanding what they are. Second is how does relationship matter, and what is the importance of physical facilities to us.
If you could give your students one rule to live by, what would it be? Wisdom is not just about knowing. It's about understanding, questioning, and applying knowledge to shape a better future.
Look for the silver lining whenever a cloud appears in the blue.
Hello and welcome to Between Us. Make every conversation count. And today we are going to make every single of the conversation I'm going to have count for me and for all of us. I have with me Professor Mohan Balram Rao, a teacher, a mentor, a visionary. He has worked with institutions such as Godrej, Datamatics. He currently serves as the chairman of the Education Taskforce with CII, the Western region. He's currently serving as the chairman of the Educational Task Force for CII Western region and also an advisor to SIWS. So we can see there's the industry and there's the academic arm. And we need that more than ever. We need the industry and the academic world to come together and work together. But I think more than that, what I'm really looking forward to is, in my way, introduce you to the man who has been shaped by learning and experiences and the deep desire to give back. But more than that, what I really hope to achieve through this conversation is to bring out the man whose life has been shaped by real life experiences. If that can create an impact, even in one of our lives, I think we would have lived a great life. So let's get started. So, sir, they say that a great teacher never stops learning and a great mentor never stops giving. And I think today in you, I have both, a great teacher and a great mentor. The little bit of time we have spent together, I have only taken away loads and loads of wisdom from you. And my absolute pleasure, sir, to have you on the show. Thank you for coming. And I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Thank you, Mr. Santosh. I feel very honored being with you. And for me, it's a great opportunity of connecting whatever I've done in my life to your audience.
Absolutely.
Education is a deep passion to me.
Mm-hmm.
Right from the day I've come into this world, and continuously I believe I've been educating myself,
Mm-hmm.
and also seeing how I can benefit whoever comes in touch with me. And I have understood something very simple, that and over the time, as you see, a lot of technology has come in now, but there is no substitution for learning and leadership.
Absolutely.
How they work along, I guess my experience may be useful, and I'd like to have a takeaways also from your audience they found useful or not.
Absolutely, sir. And it's interesting you put it this way. When we look at there is a lot of conversation today around entrepreneurship, about startups, unicorns, and how today's generation, we are fortunate to be able to pursue what we want to. Uh, there is pressure, but it's a different kind of pressure. And how education plays a very important role. Because I think for a very long time, the kind of education system we've had, um, it did give us some kind of knowledge. I would say knowledge to understand what was going on, our history and about technology and science and whatever. But I don't think it really prepared us to get into the practical world, especially when I talk about jobs or entrepreneurship. And today there is a huge push for people to pursue, um, pursue whatever they want to pursue through entrepreneurship, setting up companies. My first, uh, I would say, talking point today would be, from where you stand, from your vantage point, is enough being done where we can have a seamless marriage between what we are taught in our schools and colleges to moving into the world of entrepreneurship or corporate job?
Right. I think that's a wonderful question you posed to me. The answer comes in only in three words:
Mm-hmm.
National Education Policy 2020. That in fact spells out in great detail how our current education system can modify, and we can relive the Gurukul world days back again. Again, not in terms of going back 5,000 years, 5,000 years, but in terms of how we can use technology and all those things to see if we get back what we were rich at.
Okay.
Right. So in terms of, when you say entrepreneurship and all, these all existed for all these years. They're not some newly founded words. Only thing is that we have become very materialistic. So there have been a lot of companies who may not be in the business that they ought to be in, but they want to make money.
Right.
So it's become like a different drive. And so we feel job hungry, all those things are happening. But you look at more deeply, our education system, right, the way it has been existing ever since British rule, right, we have lost a lot of things that we had before. One was the thing of mentoring,
Mm-hmm.
right? Although the population kept increasing and we found teacher-student ratio going higher and higher and higher, right? But the connection between the teacher and student was existing even in earlier times. Right. And that we lost it. Okay. Thanks to NEP policy, right, we are getting the system back again. Mentoring system. NEP, of course, currently is managing the higher education part of the education. The school is yet to touch NEP in a deeper way. That's where my humble request to our Prime Minister is that please attack the schools first, not the colleges, because we are looking at these things take time to happen. Right. They can't happen overnight. So it has sink into the blood, like the way I was brought up in a school, right? The way I was looking at my parents, my teachers, and everybody. Even till today, I remember them. Right? Why? Because they brought in something different for me to be different in life.
Taking on to, if I were to, that last bit about remembering our teachers and remembering what we've been taught, I think we also need to look at training of these teachers, the way they are trained, the way they, because I think we still don't have a very structured program for the teachers themselves to come out. And I think, and I would say the advent of technology can actually help.
Yes.
It doesn't matter which part of India they are. We can use technology to reach out to these teachers. You mentioned about the idea of mentoring and the concept of mentoring. Can you share something more about when you say mentoring? What does this involve? What does it entail?
Wonderful. See, mentor in very simple definitions, if I remember, even Ramakrishna Paramahamsa has said it. Mentor is nothing but a parent in a teacher. Right. So I would say that a student has got 24 hours, right? 14 hours he or she spends at home. The rest of the time he spends outside in the school. So that the teacher has to play a role of a parent. Teacher, the first thing is caring. right? We say affection, love, caring is more important than anything else.
Right.
Then is a priority.
Hmm.
What is it the child likes to do?
Hmm.
What he or she wants to do?
Hmm.
Is it in sync with what is happening around this thing? So those things, alignment part, the teacher's role is. But the main part is the caring part, because he or she is a parent on the campus. Right. So, I mean, and after the campus life, the teacher continues to be like today. I got huge, large number of mentees. They're connecting me after 20, 30 years also. Right. The reason is why? Because they played their caring role. Right. So when we are mentors, right, one, we have to see the focus of teaching. We can't just take the job of a parent. So if you see the student does assignments properly, they understand the value of the assignment, the tests that are done. All the things are, they have to see that they go through the tough part of the education, right? They can't miss it.
Correct.
But how joyful they do it, that is the role of a mentor. Right? So every teacher needs to have a mentor. Right. If you look at the NEP policy, it does not say have a separate set of mentors. Every teacher has to play a mentoring role. So what is mentoring? Right? That's so coming down to the most specific part of mentoring, monitoring, giving feedback. When giving feedback, when I tell you something, that is not right, it may hurt you. But if I know you well, then I'll say things in the way by which you improve.
Correct.
The feedback has to improve. Right. As once somebody said that, Indians are very good in post-mortem, as compared to the foreigners and all that, right? So we show the palm to somebody, say, no, where's the missing finger here? The sixth finger also. So we keep on doing a lot of post-mortem. That's not useful as a mentor. The mentor has to do what is called as exploration within the child. How is the child perceiving the career? How is the child perceiving the education? Is there a pressure from the parent side on the child? Right? All those things the teacher has to be. So teacher's role is much more important than a parent. Right? Because he has to care for something which he is not responsible for. He or she is responsible. I guess I can keep on speaking, but you can please carry on.
No, I think that's an interesting way to put it.
So, and I've done that actually in practical life, when I joined, when I left industry and came to education full time in 2002, right? In 2004, we introduced mentoring system in our college. So all teachers wondering, what is this mentoring system about? We ourselves, we require mentoring ourselves. So that's fine. But mentoring here is that our students, after 2 years of management study, they're doing MBA. Doing that, they're going to go to industry. And in this 2 years, we have to see that they are conditioned to go to the industry properly.
Are they industry ready in the
Yes.
first place?
So are we teaching in that manner? So we should be transparent, right? Not that I can teach all subjects together. I'm a specialist in marketing, somebody from finance, somebody in HR. So we have to see, we work like a network to see that the inputs given to the student are useful from the industry point of view. And particularly that's most MBAs for jobs. Nobody does PhD after MBA.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Now that you've been very closely associated with education for almost, I would say, 2 decades, there is definitely a gap that exists between education and real world skills. One, if you could share specifically what those gaps are, number one. And number two, why have they still persisted for such a long time?
It's a very challenging question. Let me be honest with you. The industry, right, perceives, every person knows what business they are in. Right? So they have a kind of a perception that so whichever employee we're going to recruit from the college, he or she ought to know about the company well. Right? But the missing part is, right, now especially when we have fresh MBAs, fresh engineers, fresh scientists join industry, right, they do not have an idea. They're still in student life. They're still in student life, right? So this is where NEP comes in brilliantly. So now the education of the 4 years of Bachelor of Science, Commerce, and 5 years of engineering are broken up into different ways. Right? First year is called certificate, second year is diploma, third year is degree, and fourth year is honors. So in the fourth year, the student has the option of going for research or going to go for industry.
Okay.
So in the fourth year, in the education itself, along with the lectures and other things, they have to compulsory do internships.
Okay.
So this internship prepares the student for the industry.
Okay.
Okay, so in this internship, where the college and the institution has to do a lot of homework, right? They have to sit with the industry and map their student onto the industry, and then see that they get the roles which are useful to them.
Okay.
So this is where the NEP comes in, and it's very recent. So 4 years. So this gap is the readiness of the student to moving from environment of everything is mine, everything I can do what I want, to everything which I do as the industry wants. Lot of difference in mindset.
I like the fact the way you have explained the 4 different years, how they are looked at. You can pursue research, because I think where we totally lack today, and I say this is, and that's where a country like the US or probably or any other country where they probably stand out is research. I think the impetus on research has not been enough.
Yeah.
And if NEP can actually help that, if that the structure can help that, because we really need research.
Just to add to what you were saying, the government, the current government was since 2014, we are seeing the change happening. Okay, the current government has insisted that the syllabus, the way that the course has to be built up, has to be outcome based.
Okay.
Okay, there's a major shift. Okay, just not I teach something which I want and that's outcome based. So the whole evaluation is outcome based, and one of the outcomes is industry readiness, and one outcome is also research readiness. Okay, so wherever I have the passion, wherever I have the interest, I can move in that area. Okay, and right through the 3 years, right, they recommend that they don't make it. They make it compulsory 120 hours on 3 years completion, right? But how you space out 120 hours up to you.
Okay.
So it's not that I do 120 hours at the end of 3 years or something. I can do it before also.
And that NEP has come into effect from this academic year?
2020 it came in. 22 it came into a practice. Okay. And 24 now we are constantly following across the country.
Okay. With the revised NEP structure, if I were to ask you this question, how do we prepare today's students, especially for the world we live in, AI, automation, and the jobs of the future? What are your thoughts on that?
So this is where it's interesting that the tools, whether they are computer-based tools or analytical tools, whatever tools, whichever stream we follow, all have to be exposed to those tools. It's mandatory. Right? Similarly, I don't know if you're aware, the NEP also helps, is mandatory for all the colleges to teach on our culture, on Indian knowledge systems. What were they? What are we Indians famous for? The arts, form, everything. All those things have to be nicely brought in the syllabus itself. With the 3-4 years they pass the undergraduate journey, they get a good feel of what it is all about. So as far as the the component of preparedness is concerned, it's also considered in the syllabus itself.
Okay, so since we have already been talking about NEP during the course of our conversation, if you could point out or underline, let's say, key 5 features of NEP which you feel has actually impacted the way we are going to educate our next generation.
It's a very nice question. First is entrepreneur drive.
Okay.
Right. NEP gives the students the freedom to decide whether I want to be an entrepreneur or whether I want to serve a job. Okay. Right. It gives all options, right, in terms of how you prepare. The second is that it gives the student the mobility in what career to go for.
Okay.
Now, see, I may score very good marks and I'm forced to go for engineering, right? But that's not the choice. I may go for engineering and I may change and go to medicine. I may change and go to architecture. I may go to liberal arts. That's why the big shift has come in the last 2 years.
Absolutely. I'm so glad.
There are about 15-20% of students who have gone to liberal arts. Right? And something which India is very rich about if you go past of it, right? And the third very important thing is it gives what should I say, a kind of internal drive that it is I who need to decide. It's not somebody decides for me.
Right.
So what I decide, I'll be responsible and make you a responsible citizen also. And the fifth, the way it is now, it's all depends on how the colleges do it, not fully depend on the student. It gives the student the choices. Which industry to go? Is research important for me? What is important for me? All through the 4 years of journey.
Mhm.
It's not like coming to the 4th year or 3rd year, they decide where to go.
If you were to just forget for a bit that I said 5, if you were to add on, if there was some more add-on points you want to
Personality
share.
development.
Okay.
Right? There's so many soft skills that have been coming now as part of the curriculum itself. Irrespective of what they teach. They may teach me arts, but they got personality development is part of the career development.
Okay.
Right? So they what you call as certificate courses. So the students are today encouraged to do more certificate courses to amplify, to see that their curriculum, their profile is more enriched.
Okay.
Right? Like music. Say like music, right? How to pursue career with music along with your studies. So all those options are there. And the critical option is that a student can do multi-areas together also. What's
Okay.
called dual programs.
I wish there was also a choice where if somebody wants to really pursue music as a career, they can
Along with the education. And even independent you can do music. See, I'm from BITS Pilani, just to bring you, I'm not taking you back to my education.
No,
But
sure,
BITS
please.
Pilani was the first to introduce dual degree program. Way back in 72.
Okay.
Dual degree. I want to do science engineering. I want to do science management. I want to do science arts.
Science and arts. Okay.
Right. And there are a number of my friends who did both. Especially national science and scholars. Right. They're very good in arts, creativity. They did the MSc Science and MA Arts.
Okay.
They got dual degree in 6 years.
I would say that it's interesting you say this. I would also say that I'm fascinated by STEAM more than STEM because the arts the arts component help a lot. And the fact that you mentioned that 15 to 20% there is a shift to liberal arts. I mean, this is something which because we've been conditioned in a way where our parents used to push us to either engineering, science. From there to be able to make that choice, I think that's the most remarkable aspect of it.
And this is where the coming into education in 2002, right? I didn't come by accident. I was pushed here. Let's say you've done enough to come to education, give back to society, right? Something which all our everybody says that, right?
You mentioned about liberal arts. Could you share some of the universities today which is actually focusing on liberal arts and there's a great impetus towards that?
Right. Ashoka University, Chitkara University, Jindal University, and you have in Chennai, Anna University. Right. In Kerala also, a couple of universities are there who have captured this. Right. And even the traditional university like D.Y. Patil, and was that Amrita University, all have started moving towards traditional arts. Liberal arts.
Right. You mentioned. Let's circle back to. Let's now talk about. There is also a parallel career which you are having, or let me put it this way. Let's talk about the industry role also you're playing with CII. So that's a fascinating combination. If you could share some things about what you are currently doing with the CII, and it has existed for a while. Do you see a real change happening in the way CII is functioning today?
Yes, the answer is yes. I would say a very big yes. I have been associated with CII formally. Right? Although during my Godrej days, I was part of CII committees and all to understand how things are happening. But in terms of active participation of mine was post I joined IES, right? And in 2012, I was very actively participating with them. My role was primarily into see that we got premier college like IITs and NITs and all. They don't require industry to come to them. Industry goes to them automatically. Whereas in those times we really had to meet industry and talk to them about our institutions. So we felt that CI is a good platform where all of us from the other types of institutions can connect to industry and see how we can get them to work with us. Right? So prior to 2014, this used to be called subcommittee. Right? Education subcommittee. After 2014, when the new government came in, the directive given to CII saying that you have to have a task force and with a mission. A task force, a mission. Two missions. One mission is that industry academia should work together.
Yes.
Right? And the second mission is that the students and the faculty need to upskill and upgrade themselves very fast. So whatever programs we do, the second one is more important than the first one. Right? That's what kind of priority they gave us. So we formed a task force in all the western region. We had one task force, north, one task force, and so east. 4 task forces were there. And the CI is headquartered in Delhi. Right? So this task force, we had representation from industry and academics in the task force.
And it continues to have that.
And continues to have, right? Now, year after year, right, we started progressing in a very unique way. Today, where we've reached is that we have signature events called CI Global Education Conclave, where industry and university from global across the world come and have a 2-day session in India, right, in the western region, in Mumbai. We had it in Mumbai and Pune till now. This year we plan probably in Ahmedabad. We want to from western region, we want to keep changing location.
Okay.
Right. The second event is called the Pan India Debate Competition. See, when 2014 India government came, one of our visionaries, Mr. Ninad Karpe, thought of let's have a think of India we want. Let's connect with the youth.
Okay.
And see what India we want. So they used to send us plays, movies, scripts, and all those things. And later on in 2016-18, we made a debate competition on national scale. So it's a national competition happened. Just now we concluded about a couple of weeks back.
Yes, and that was our first meeting.
The first meeting.
Yes.
Right. And the third, very important, is where the academic, the objective set by the government happened was, we are called the EEF Forum, Education Excellence Forum. Here we connect the colleges to CII, right? And we conduct 4 to 5 student development programs as the college wants. Where the industry person goes gratis, doesn't ask any money from the college. Right? Spends 5 to 7 hours or maybe 2 days, 3 days as the industry wants and as the college demands, right? And even faculty upgradation programs where we give faculty tool sets, tools and all, by which they get more confident to teach.
Okay.
Right? And they also are able to confident to research. So we do that program. Plus, we have organized industry visit for the students into any of the industry who are willing to take them and for a day or so. And more importantly, we have a CEO Connect program.
Okay.
Whichever CEO is of the choice, they have they want all the CEOs to come on the campus. So they choose 1 or 2 CEOs and we request CEOs to attend the college for about half a day, interact with the student, interact with the faculty and give gyan. Okay.
It's also a way to for the CEOs to also get to know.
And now the next spin-off coming in the year is we are taking faculty on sabbatical into industry.
Okay, that sounds really, really exciting. And when you say faculty, I mean these are the undergrad colleges, right?
Undergrad colleges.
That's so needed.
Non-IITs, non-IMs.
Right.
Because they are privileged people. They by act they can do what they want. But we have to act.
Tell me a little bit about your efforts in trying to bridge the industry academia collaboration, because you've been on both sides. I mean, if I were to look back, so how do you strike the balance, and where do you feel you fit in the?
So I'll give an example which just happened recently. University of New Havens, USA, and Forbes Marshall, they signed an MOU, right? The first of its kind happening through a CII platform. Right now, the MOU has got a lot of spin-offs. One is that to start with, the students see in the case of University of New Havens, 35% of the students are Indians, right? And today, jobs, everything is a big issue in US, anywhere in the world. So how to bring the students back to India and see that they get the value in the company as they would get a value in any other international company. An Indian company, not MNC, Indian company. So the University of Havens came up with a challenge to us that can you connect us industries who are interested to deploy our students for projects, and whichever students are good enough, absorb them at international levels, not local rates, the international levels. So we discussed with a number of companies, and there's some discussion still going on with Tatas and Cummins and others. But the one which took off and got signed was Forbes Marshall. So Forbes Marshall, we're getting a first batch of students coming in with projects from University of Havens to be done in Forbes Marshall for about 5 to 6 months. And after they complete the project, they'll go back to the university, get a degree, and hopefully get employed in Forbes Marshall itself.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
So this was where we worked very closely. So I was very involved. So it was very pilot, successful. Now we are looking at multiplying it to other industries.
Okay. When we talk about industry, startups play a very important role. I mean, they are the engine of our economy, especially small businesses. What specifically is your role? How in terms of helping these startups drive the innovation? Because I think, having worked in, and we'll come to it during the course of the conversation, but your experience at Godrej, your experience followed up by Datamatics, your experience in these large industries, and of course, in your journey working closely with these, I'm sure one part of it is sharing that wisdom. But when you see startups today, they didn't practically exist probably a decade earlier. Where do you see your role, and how do you do it?
Sure. So here, within CII, there's a different set of people different committee for startups. I'm not associated with startups at all. But how I got associated with startups is very interesting. There's an organization called JITO, Jain International Trade Organization.
Yes.
They have a group called GIFF. They do incubation and funding, and they do a lot of startup encouragement and all that. So they wanted to draw a couple of years back, Niti Aayog had introduced some policies of giving 2 to 3 crore grants to all these institutions who are into incubation to fund startups and at different levels. Right? But they made a demand that within the body of the GIF there should be academician. So they approached CII.
Right.
JITO approached CII, and CII said that no, Mr. Mohan is there. He heads our Taskforce for education. So if you want, you can check with him. So I became a member of JITO. Right. Now, since the last couple of years, I'm very happy to tell you, I've looked after around 32 startups at different stages. It's not exactly from scratch, right? Where we give them grants, right? And most of them are progressing very well.
Is there a specific project or initiative you can talk about at this point in time?
See, in my years in Godrej, in Datamatics, in Dishnet, right, I've always worked like an entrepreneur, right? I've started new products. In Godrej, I started 4 new products, right from scratch, right? From what we say as, idea generation to complete stage of prototyping, everything. And products which are very specific to industries and which are for consumers. I won't name them because I don't want to get lost in names. But I have always been an entrepreneur everywhere. Even Datamatics, I started the domestic division from scratch. How to address the domestic market from scratch. In Dishnet, I started the internet market from scratch. So I know the challenges of being an entrepreneur. Now, when an entrepreneur, the problem is that when the entrepreneur comes out, and the kind of entrepreneurs I've seen, my students who have started their own units, they feel they can do everything by themselves. They don't need to hire anybody else. They do it themselves. So here I told them a typical example of Peter Drucker. I don't know if you heard of what he said. Yes. I had heard Peter Drucker in BITS Pilani when he had come for one of the sessions way back in 78, prior to 78, 76, 77 he had come. He's a very, very interesting statement of an organization. Say, do you know what the organization is? So I am working for a company today. So I'm an employee, but I want to start up my own. So I leave the company and start my organization. So for 1 year, everything goes well. I'm single-handed, right? And I find new markets are there. I can't reach them. I find too many things on my hand. I employ a second person. The second person in the 6 months or 9 months time over, then you start finding the second person does better than me, right? So then we start having argument discussions. We get a third person. The third person, within half the time he realizes that he is doing better than both of us, right? So he says, Peter Drucker defined organization is the politics of people. So to make the entrepreneur realize the politics of people, in IES we introduce an entrepreneurship course. Okay, the first of its kind, MBA course. I'm talking about from the non-IIM side. I have all this regular from time to time. We are the first institution to introduce entrepreneurship as a specialization stream in MBA.
Okay.
Right, where we taught these skills. And this is where my network of CI was very useful to IES. So that's the kind of catalytic role I played to see that we are able to foster entrepreneurship and make it move.
All right. You mentioned the Indian knowledge system as a part of the NEP curriculum. And why I'm bringing that is, if you could connect the dots from an IK standpoint and how it can help today's startups, how specifically when it comes to tackling challenges, leadership challenges, competition, market, where does IKS fit into this? And can it actually do it?
Brilliant. Actually, when you look at IKS, Indian Knowledge Systems, it's not the Vedas, it's not those, that's one part of it. The core is the values. Okay, in terms of what values we need to have. And values in three perspectives, right? One, in terms of understanding what they are. Second is how does relationship matter? And what is the importance of physical facilities to us? Like, chair, this, how important to us, right? So what we need to, and what we are doing currently, through AICT and other organizations, it's called Universal Human Values. We are making the child and the faculty realize, what are your aspirations? What are your aspirations? You want to become an engineer? Then what? Get a job? Then what? Marry? Then what? Then what? Then what? There's a stop. But then what each of us looking for is basic happiness and harmony. So how does one achieve it? Right? So there we talk about the four aspects of how each of us is. We are individual, related to a family, and the family belongs to a society. The society has got animals and this thing outside and nature outside. And the entire ecosystem engulfing all the four people. Right. So the entire knowledge system traverses the student through this right understanding process. What are you as an individual? What are you for a family? What do you do for a society? What do you do for nature? A simple example I'll give you, right from my school days, right? This has been part of me for different reasons. I don't know. I never understood separately now, right? But it's been part of me. When I did my electrical engineering in BITS Pilani, right? And I was doing, I had to fight my way through for 3 years to get electrical engineering because a different system of education, BITS Pilani. I won't go into that. But then when I found myself becoming an engineer, right? And my father was a government servant basically in government colony. And they used to look when Mohan come for holidays. So when they go for holiday, they get the bulb fixed into the roof. They get the heater repaired. They get their oven repaired. All those things repaired from me. The coiled oven, right? Then I used to wonder, are they trying to save cost of the engineer or something, right? Then one of the uncles was there then, my father's friend. I told him I put a stool and made him wear the rubber slippers and touch the bulb and say, you won't get a shock. Then he got down and said, "Uncle, then you can do it now." He said, "No, I can't do it. Because there's no better person than Mohan who can do it."
Huh.
Because he now summarized by saying that I have understood so many things and how am I useful to everybody. Right. So there's no better person than you. So that struck me by saying that when we are doing anything in our life, if you look at all the four orders, our family, our society, our nature, right? That makes us holistic in life. And that holistic education helps you to go correct aspirations. So when I picked up a job in Godrej, right? When I picked a job in Godrej, I was meant for service, they took me to sales. But there again, I was imbibed the whole thing, but Godrej was very, very close to, they were one of those few organizations in the entire globe that was sustainability then only,
Yes.
right? These things came live to me. That yes, your importance as an engineer is not only for you, for society, for everybody, right? Then a lot of things I understood when I started working in Godrej, that these are certain things which are part of all of us, right? We have to worry about when you're making a building, right? What is around us? Have you cut the trees to make a building? Right? There's a question which Godrej used to ask. Have you chopped the trees? Is it a barren piece of land, or did you chop the trees to make a tree, make a building? First question he used to ask that. So he used to wonder why he's asking this question. So today we realize that these are certain things which were ingrained in your system. It naturally comes to you.
True.
Right? So for us, nature was first.
Yeah. And then if you look at the conversations which happen, especially in the Western world about sustainability, I share this with many of my friends, especially in the US, that we as a nation, India as a nation, Bharat as a nation, we've been practicing sustainable living
Yes.
for a very long time. So, absolutely. Yeah, please go ahead.
And so one start relating, okay? And the question used to be asked by Mr. Godrej, asked, why you want to be promoted?
Right.
So that time you give a very answer that, no, I want, take more responsibilities. He told us this thing. It's not more responsibilities. It's more connectedness. Right? You take responsibilities, but you connect. Now you have to work as a team. You're not going to work as one Mohan Rao. You're going to have work of people around. So the system of our entire IKS, what we say, the value systems, right? The way it is communicated to each of us brings about how you're connected to the past. I don't know if I'm confused or not, but yeah.
No, that's absolutely so true.
So in my entire journey, right, even to the point of datamatics, software, Dr. Kanodia was one of the most legends of IT. Sure. He was the one who set up the computer center for TCS. First one to set up before Mr. Kohli came and took over, right?
Yeah.
So even for him, it's not that making money was important.
Yeah.
He said very clearly that money making is not important. Issue is use of the money.
I want to, when you spoke about giving back, I do have this question, sir. There is a lot of CSR initiatives which are happening in industry, especially in corporations today. It's like, I feel like we have IKS now and there are many more concepts which will come. If you look at it at that point in time, just like the way they are looking at IKS today, just a subject as a part of an entire curriculum. So the core value, the core philosophy is still not being embraced. I think even corporations, and you can choose not to answer, but CSR seems to be just one of those check boxes. We need to have a CSR initiative.
CSR is part of a circular economy. See, today now, as the world is getting, we're getting more and more development and less of nature, right? We need to have a circular economy. Whatever we do should get back to nature. They're only able to sustain this earth. Right. We'll go waterless. We could know what will happen. We don't know what disaster will happen. So CSR was fitting in to say that all industries, right, need to give back to society, right, by which we continue to sustain ourselves.
Right.
Right. So that's the idea. Whether through teaching, whether through families, whether through planting trees, all those things. Right. So that's CSR. Right. But it didn't happen. Right. Because we are very good in idea of implementation. We are poor by quantifying the CSR.
Exactly. That's the
yes. So today, if you see for the last 5-6 years, whatever I have been watching, there's a transformational change everywhere. even the thinking on the company. That when I'm implementing CSR, I have some watchdogs watching me, right? And I need to show some impact on the society. Okay. Now, once the impact in society is shown as a win-win situation for the company, right, the company also starts participating. Okay. So this probably will take a longer time, but surely, I think in 10, 15 years, we will get the benefit of, as you rightly said, Bharat is the only nation where we have been able to sustain ourselves. We've not got, we got worst of floods, the worst of rains, everything worst we have got. The worst of heat is going on, right? We don't have to blame others, we blame ourselves, right? But we will definitely get over this problem in a 10 to 15 years time.
Let's quickly, I want to ask you this. What motivated you in terms of this leap from corporate to education? Was there something which was it always there in your heart that you're going to take this leap?
I used to be teaching on a continuous basis for...
Even while you were working?
Yeah, from 1985. Ever since I graduated from XLRI in 83, 84 I've been teaching on a part-time basis.
In colleges?
In colleges.
Okay.
In IITs and NITI, in NMIMs, I've been teaching.
NITI is now the IIM Mumbai.
IIM Mumbai,
right? Okay.
Right. And I've been teaching continuously.
So you always had the heart of a teacher.
Yeah. The reason is, but I had a different goal also in that. Right. I'm a practicing manager. I'm a marketing guy. I'm a service guy. Right. Now, when I come to the student and give him a problem, I get faster solutions. I get a different solution. I can test out what I'm doing with them. So I used to teach subjects which are useful for me in my profession. I'll not teach consumer behavior because I'm not in the product development side. But I'll teach services marketing. I'll teach CRM, customer relationship management. I'll teach them B2B marketing. Right, because I'm handling clients like BRC, top clients. So how will I get ideas? Right, so in the classroom I'll get ideas. So I used to use it with that twin purpose also, to see that whatever I'm doing in the field, and from student point of view, they love it. You come and discuss a live example of a couple of weeks back and discuss with them. They feel happy that you're discussing a live example with them.
That's set me thinking. Let's take a step back and talk about your journey. Your career began with Godrej, an institution in itself. Even today, they have themselves, I don't know how many times they have evolved, and from where they were to now they're into real estate in a big way. And this question is not just about your journey, but we and I agree that we may not have those kind of institutions today because they are replaced by startups. And for the love of God, I still have not been able to figure out why they are called unicorns. I mean, for me, it's just two horns. But question to you is, and I think this is very important, somewhere, and it's already started happening from the time I was in my business school, and is the fact that you've been in Godrej for a reasonable amount of time, right? To spend considerable amount. I think that is somewhat missing today, which is, and I know students coming back to me in my own family, and some coming back to me and saying, we probably don't have that kind of institutions for someone to invest that amount of time into an organization, right? How do we bring that balance? So when I'm asking about your journey, I would also want people who are getting into a job, moving into that world of job, and you have your own students in your schools and colleges who are there. So I think this is a three-pronged question, and please allow me to ask this in a way that one is, of course, the organizations themselves have to, bring up to a level where I, as a potential employee or a partner, feel invested in them, and I think having worked and being an entrepreneur, I think whatever technology comes in, whatever process comes in, our greatest asset has to be human capital, our people. So from that perspective, if you can talk about the journey, and I'd like people who are watching this, listening to this, understand why it's important to be invested and why corporates also need to invest into people.
It's a very, very good question, because this is where I'm attempting from being the task force of CII, right? As I mentioned to you, we in AICT and all, we're doing this universal human values kind of program for the faculty and students to see that they are able to relate themselves to the entire environment around us and manage their career in future, right? And see how they can progress and see whatever they do is useful to all of us. So, as you know, the last 20 years, ever since we've gone to the development phase, looking at GDP, nobody looks at PDP.
Yeah,
Person development.
absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Nobody looks at that, right? But at one time we were looking at that, but now we've lost track of that. So this is where, for the last couple of years, I've been attempting to sensitize the industry about universal human values. Right? I've not been successful, but I think this year I'll be successful. Right? The reason is that we are telling them that the kind of students are going to come into your post 2026, right, into companies are going to be different.
Right. They already are. I mean, if you
Right.
look at
Not only because of NEP, but because of the universal values, they will want to understand the role from 4 perspectives. Whatever I do in the company, is it useful for myself, my family, my society, and my environment? Whatever you ask me to do, is it useful?
And I give it to this generation to have that faith and belief that, are you really practicing certain core values?
Right. So today, imagine the industry is, I don't want to name companies, to the extent that even R&D, they say, what is the productivity in R&D? R&D is not productivity.
Correct.
Right. The innovation has to be seen and applied later on. But there's no productivity aspect in R&D. How many new ideas will you give me?
Right.
Everything being like a machine.
Right.
Right. So that will take time, but we are sure that with the intervention of the idea of values and the understanding aspiration of the student who are going to come into their organization, right, they need to change the perspective also. Right. So this is where, again, I don't want to keep lauding our Prime Minister. Right. For us, he's a very gifted person, honestly. We are also lucky to have him. He's bringing in these thoughts from the industry also. That is, say that don't look at every time business. See, what is your business? What's your business getting you? To what extent are you able to see that you're able to retain the environment around you? Right. Don't be hungry. Don't be whatever in terms of just expanding for no reason. Right. Today we find so much development happening. Do we require the development? I keep questioning myself. Do we require so many buildings? Do we require so many factories? Do we require so many companies? Why can't they work together and in cluster form and do it? Something is happening in Germany. Germany, see how they've been able to retain their global expertise in manufacturing. Because they have a cluster approach.
Right.
They're able to foster the new companies, new startups to come into the cluster and grow together.
Right.
So when will we have that? Right. So I guess that will probably happen in about 5-10 years' time. Work is going on.
Please share with me some of the most.
I hope I made sense to you in terms of.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Do you think, but that's that's feasible in a country like ours, the cluster approach?
Yeah, it's happening in pockets in Maharashtra, Karnataka, in your Assam, in Uttar Pradesh. In
Can you
Madhya
share some
Pradesh.
examples?
Huh?
Can you share some examples?
Like in Maharashtra, you have the cluster of women industries, right? All these women folk who are into all kinds of artifacts and all that. They work in clusters, right? Similarly, in Nasik, in Nagpur, there are industries who are working together.
Oh, okay.
Right? The automotive sector, right? You have generally used to have those what you call sister companies around.
Right.
Now they have cluster companies around.
Okay.
So somebody is very good in gears, so he will become part of the automotive cluster. So already it's happening.
And that's the true definition of collaboration.
Yes.
Since we mentioned,
so this is where just a caution. Now we are getting all these Airbuses in India and we're getting Boeings in India, right? we should not smash this cluster. Right? Whatever clusters are there, if they require some expertise, the government and the industry should work together to see that their cluster grows and serves their industry. Not a new cluster gets formed. And these people are hung. So this is again an issue in CII itself. That's what my friends tell me in manufacturing and all that. This is our challenge. When these foreign manufacturers come here, they should not grow their own clusters and we start looking for jobs. We start looking for work. We should be able to graduate ourselves and able to address their needs. Then it'll happen. Then everything falls in place.
Now, I would love to go back to your experience in Godrej. And I know you forged new relationships. You had great mentors. If you could share briefly your experience of working with a large organization or institution like Godrej, and what are the learnings that you can pass on to folks today, whether they are entrepreneurs or they're seeking job, if you could share some of those.
The first learning, which is similar to CII, is that nation is first. Right? Then is the industry. Then is community. Then we are far away. Don't do something for yourself. Do for the nation, do for the industry, and do for the community. That's a learning across my 16 years in Godrej. And they used to constantly tell us softly, nicely, hardly, whichever way they want to do. Right. Second was that a great experience was that I never remained in one function. I went through all the functions, except finance. I've gone through purchase, manufacturing, delivery, marketing, selling, all functions, R&D. I've gone through all the functions in different roles.
And you may or may not have had probably your schooling or your specialization may not have been all of those, but you made sure that, and the organization also allowed you and encouraged you to do
so I became a jotter refill. Jack of all trades.
Yeah.
Right? And master of marketing. Right?
Okay.
When it comes to marketing, they used to refer to me. In some functions, I will not say all. Right? So, and how to build larger accounts. How to start small and build larger accounts. See, like we say small business to big business. For me, small accounts to large accounts. Accounts like BRC, account like Engineering Limited, ISRO, your space. Right? Wonderful incident with Dr. Abdul Kalam. Right?
I would really want to hear that.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Right? So into defense, into space, how I was made to work and expand the business. Right? Now coming to Dr. Abdul Kalam, we I don't know if you're aware that Godrej was one of the first few who made the Prithvi missiles.
Oh, okay. Okay.
The entire container for the missile they were one of the first things. But it's not so easy to get manufacturing them because you have to qualify some defense standard and space standard for space for ISRO satellites. We were on the banned list of Clinton. Yeah, because we were doing all nuclear and all those things, so they were on the banned list. So we could not import some specific material for those kind of applications. So
I'm
government
not
had to import
surprised.
it for us and give it to us. Right? So the instance how we were doing already job for space, ISRO, we were making the so-called launch station for them on a prototype basis. Then my boss told me that let's now go and attack defense also. Because defense also got a lot of huge competence. So I started knocking the doors of Dr. Abdul Kalam sir. Right? That time he was the head of DRDL and DRDO. Right? So it took a long time. 6 months it took me. And then finally I got time for my boss, not for myself, for my boss. Right? And he gave me 15 minutes early in the morning at 8 o'clock. 7:30, 8 o'clock. And and the previous day I got this appointment around 7:30, 8 in the evening. So I called up my boss, made a lightning call to him and told him. And so he was wondering why I should come so early. That's the choice is yours. After that, I don't know when I get time, but this time. So he came, the appointment, and we met and the business started. We entered into defense business. So in terms of working and doing challenges, right? Amazing challenges I've seen in working with Godrej. But always a positivity, right? That this has to be done, right? No question of not doing it at all. And also understand the purpose of doing it. By connecting defense, getting defense contracts, what we realized was that we went up in the national image. You are anyway known. Godrej was very well known for its furniture. I don't know if you are the first ballot box was made by Godrej for Indian elections, right? And the entire BRC, the Trombe was completely the entire windows. Those were made by Godrej, right? And it's called Tata Atomic Grey paint. The paint, because Tata Atomic was the Jai Tata and Baba decided this is the color of the paint to be used on the doors everywhere. The Tata Atomic Grey. So we are all part of the whole nation building process. So we knew that coming into newer businesses and coming into defense, this account improves the image in the entire country. So I was into those kind of image building exercises or development of business.
Okay.
So that took me always to the front, and think new challenges.
So I understand these were some of the learnings. If you were to draw some of the lessons you learned, and if you were to impart this experience to a young entrepreneur today, or to a startup, what would be that one piece of advice which would give?
Wonderful. I would always say that whatever obstacles you faced, we should have a canvas clear in front of us where we want to go. Right. Now I knew where I want to go. Right. I knew I have to capture the account, and this account will mean I get a promotion, I get this, I move that. Well, maybe limited view, but there should be an objective. There should be an objective where to go. And in that objective, whatever my past learnings, my failures in the past, when I was an engineer in Delhi, what did I do wrong? I remember that. Right? And what was learning from that? I remember that. And that learning, when I start working in the particular sector, I find similar things happening, I know how to handle it. It's not that learnings in the past are gone, not used for the future. So for an entrepreneur, for anybody, right, we need to keep our learnings very closely to ourselves. Not share with 100 people. Right? And see how growth goes. That makes it faster. Right? Rather than we keep making the same mistake again. So I had a very famous saying to my students: you can make one mistake once, but not the same mistake twice. So never make the same mistake twice. And never make a mistake for the sake of making a mistake. Because it's costly. You don't know what you're going to lose. So I would say that for an entrepreneur, for anybody who's getting into business or going to start a career, be clear where you want to go. You're not in those Adam and Eve time, you don't know what's going to happen in the future. You really know, you can see your future, you can see it. You can't forecast it.
But you can absolutely
see it where you want to go.
Right.
There should be a path to the journey. And in that path, whatever you've done in the past is useful and helpful for your future. So you'll be able to, make those payments for steps based on the past itself. So it makes it you reach faster. So one of the very important things I'll tell you in Godrej, targets were given for people who don't achieve targets. So for me, I used to get 1 year target and I finish in 6 months, my target gets revised. So in the sense, like, target is not meant for the target is you finish it earlier than what is required. That's kind of learning I got in Godrej and as applied in Datamatics same way.
Yes, I wanted to come to that. Datamatics, a very different company, very different industry from what Godrej was. What made you switch? You said you've already spent 16 years. You could have probably continued in that company, probably taken on more responsibilities. Was it the excitement of getting to know technology?
One was that. Second was that Datamatics was not only into one business. It was a small group. It wanted to expand into larger businesses. They were into software, they were into financial services, they were into staffing, they were into direct marketing, they were into property also. They were in different businesses. Right. And I was the EA to Dr. Kanodia, who was then a legend. Dr. Kanodia and Mr. Godrej were classmates. Right? And I knew later on, but not before that. Right? But I could see the challenge that I'm going to be part of his think tank, right? Where we're going to expand it.
Right.
One interesting thing was that before joining them, I spent 6 months in going through every unit before I joined them. Means when I joined them in May, from December only I've been going to his company, spending time in Datamatics Direct, Datamatics staffing 2 days, 3 days. None of them know what my objective is, why they come to see. Now the CEOs know. Only Dr. Kanodia knows.
This was something which you initiated yourself, or you were advised by Dr. Kanodia?
No, Dr. Kanodia advised me and asked me whether I'm okay with it. Because this means that he's not going to pay me for going to those places. Right. But I get a feel of the companies. Because he saw that my journey in Godrej was so interesting. He thought that we can map it onto Datamatics and make it a lot more interesting and expand the business, which happened. So in Datamatics, was part of a lot of collaborations with AT&T, with Fujitsu, all the collaborations I did, a lot of it for software. And later on for hardware and software also I did with Banyan, Hayes, Timeplex, number of collaborations.
My personal experience, if somebody were to ask me at any point of time what I gained over the decade and a half of my working experience, I would say the relationships I forged with my clients who became lifelong friends. But more than that, it was my colleagues and my co-workers, because I think they, are happy. There's this saying that a happy team makes a happy client. I think that is a huge missing puzzle today. Somewhere, when you hear the noises around you, I do want to bring up the interesting debate around work-life balance, and I hope I'm not putting you in a
no, I'm enjoying it. I'll give an interesting example now to you.
Yeah. So I really want to understand this, because I somehow feel that I see there are startups where everyone seems to be. I see business heads or entrepreneurs making comments like, we enjoy doing 100 hours a week. All of us enjoy working. And there's a debate going on. For me personally, I don't want to bring in my personal view here at this point, but I always believe that without people, we are nobody. I remember one of my favorite leaders in modern times is President Obama, and it was funny when he called those when he took over at the time when there was a massive market, the subprime crash happened, industries were collapsing, and when these large business heads were asked to come down, they were called out because they flew in their private jet to ask more money from the government. And I remember him saying that to every single enterprise out there, that you are there because of the people who worked day in and day out to build. And that's why I think some of organizations are institutions and some of them are just organizations working for it. I don't want to bring out names, but this debate around this understanding that people drive the organization and thereby drive happy customers, and it's a complete, when you talk about that, I think this cluster is more important than industries coming together, people being a part of it. And your thoughts around it?
Interesting. See, right across in Godrej, Datamatics, wherever I worked, including where I'm working now and in the college also, I don't know if it's my nature or whether it is seen by my people who I work for or work with, that I'm able to make people talk to each other.
Yes.
Okay. So, especially in Datamatics, Dr. Kanodia was a legend, and till that time I joined, he was himself writing codes. So I asked him, sir, what is the purpose of being a chairman? If you write code, then there are other people to write codes. No, why should you be writing codes? I asked a question to him. So that day he took a call and did something else. Okay. But the point was I could mesh with people. And I used to have a room where all the people used to gather together and, just share all their issues that they had in the past with each other, and they seek. So I asked them, why are you saying this? What is your idea? They thought I'm going to transfer to Dr. Kanodia. Because I was the EA for him, right? So I used it very gainfully. I said, how do I bring about a balance in the whole organization, right? Each of us has aspirations, and even chairman has aspiration. How do you align the things together? Yes. Right? So that role I played, I was very satisfied with the role, right? And so was, I guess, my chairman also. Right? With the finance sector, whether in direct marketing and staffing, I played that bridge role. by which to see that whatever the aspirations are of those employees, are they aligned with the organization, are they aligned with the chairman? So how we can align it, right? So we made very human-friendly policies also. A lot of changes were there. I don't say I'm responsible for the change, but change started happening. People started looking at differently. Employee not as a person, I want result from you. Differently. In Godrej also, a number of how that happened was that I'm not happy with my doing one task only. Right? If you give me a task, I'll do it fast. But what about next? So rather take 4-5 jobs together and do more and be connected more. So I used to take diverse jobs. I used to take, when in Godrej, I was to not only responsible for service, but also responsible for quality improvement in plants. So I used to be connected on that project also. So I used to take multiple projects and have multiple people to report to. Formal reporting for which I am paid and doing something else. But there's also informal reporting. So when we are in organization, I would say when we are entrepreneur, when building an organization, we should keep the informal channel very actively alive for people to grow. Not look informal channel for gossip. Today we look at informal channel for gossip and the whole work-life balance gets tossed off. So when it is not gossip, it is useful, right? Informal and informal both, right? They need to coexist together. Then there will be work-life balance. And more important relationship was with your family. With due respect, sir, family should support you. You shouldn't be thinking that I'm out of the house, my family problem is gone. And this is where organization comes in also. When you have issues with the family, they should not say you should come and sit here. In Datamatics in Godrej, I worked from home when my wife was hospitalized. How we did that? We didn't have mobiles. We didn't have, but we used to work from home. How we work from home, right? So caring for the job, doing it. So these things come by one's own passion for doing it. There's no directive from Datamatics that I can work from home. There's no directive from Godrej and work from home. But I told my boss, I'll do this job. I'm in the hospital. I'll communicate on landline to you. Tell me if it is over.
And the company supported you.
So the work-life balance does not come by a formal system. It comes by one's connection to the organization. The organization connection to you. So whenever I did anything, nobody told me that how you allowed Mohan leave. Nobody knows my leave also. So here I bring in a very interesting story which I very passionate to me, Kiran Bedi. I hope you know she was she was DCP in Delhi, and the incident I was challaned by her for overspeeding when I was in Godrej days. But she said that learn to compete with yourself. Don't have anybody in competition. Right. So in Godrej, if you ask me, Datamatics, Dishnet, there was nobody in competition to me. I never felt that my colleague is a competitor. I felt he's a co-worker.
And they are.
And they will solve my problem. I don't keep things close to me. I share with them also. But I don't have to share everything with them. Right. In Godrej, as far as the service department is concerned, I had trained through NITI about 800 service people, your executives and officers and staff across the country. Along NITI, I am Ahmedabad, I am Mumbai. We've done a program for upgrading those service people. So I said that's the need of the hour. So I went around teaching everybody. They used to come to Bombay for workshops. And I was traveling with the best of technicians, the best of engineers from Bombay, and showcasing them in different parts of India. See, this is how you please ask him questions. And that created a performance across the service department across the country. And believe me or not, touch wood, right? The number of complaints of refrigerators dropped 50% across the country. Because people started participating together.
Yes.
It is my refrigerator. It's not customer refrigerator. It's my refrigerator.
The sense of ownership.
My refrigerator, not customer refrigerator.
And it only works out beautifully when both sides are equally participating, the people and the organization.
Yes. And here NITI played a very needed, the course was just meant for some figure, for consultancy. But believe me, I took the best of NITI. They had a filmmaking division. Right? NITI had a filmmaking division. Now I am in the Mumbai, filmmaking division. I use the filmmaking to make the film for the role plays. Rather than ask them to perform on the stage, I shot some people and showed that film to everybody. And that created more discussion points. So I use that infrastructure beautifully, and Godrej was very happy that I use that infrastructure.
I wanted to ask you this: post COVID, you spoke about work from home. Post COVID, I mean, with the uh, w-
My
one
work
thing.
from home was prior to COVID. Huh?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think working from home used to happen a lot before too. It just came into practice. Um, Now almost all the organizations are calling back their employees, especially in the
Yes,
US.
yes.
They're all back to work. Um, and there is a little bit of resistance. Some people say we are more productive. I have a different take on it. But w- why is it, and is that as humans, we only realize the obvious when something hits us hard and not. I mean, I think a flexible a work system or working from home or whatever you want to call it as, uh, why do we have to really reach come out of these decisions when we are really pushed to the wall? Why can't it be just a norm, a general way of life?
That's that question. Even I keep wondering what's going on outside.
Hmm.
Right. But if I were to reflect on my experience and my on my friends and employees who I worked with, right, I think it's thinking of the top man. It's all depend on that. The top man, not the top man at the right top. Your boss, right? How human the person is, right?
True.
Can you believe that in Godrej, right? In Godrej, there were times when my boss will be calling my grandmother, asking whether I reached home or not. Can you believe? And the time is not too early, 3 o'clock in the morning. He's calling him and asking, has Mohan reached? Means the concern. He's put you on a job, right? And asking my grandmother whether I have reached. And that too, phone of a neighbor. We couldn't afford a phone. Phone of a neighbor. So neighbor will say, just a minute, I'll just check. No, he has not reached. Please tell him when he reaches. I hope he can yeah. What does the concern mean? Do we have that running across the country today?
Hmm.
We have lost actually that, if you ask me. It used to be there before. And these stories is not only to me. All my friends, all my colleagues in Godrej, we have formed a Godrej club. We have a data analyst club now, right? All of us who are left, we are all together, along with the company itself, right? Why? We still feel for the company.
But I think, as you mentioned, the newer generation of workforce.
Actually, it is the westernized way of managing things, right? Is not human. We are too result oriented,
Hmm.
and human comes later on.
I think I'm quite hopeful, as you also mentioned, with the current generation of workforce, which is there, the focus on values, the focus on the nature, focus on people. I think that is coming back.
Tsunami is coming.
Yes. You spoke about a phone call going to your grandmother. Um, if you could share a little bit about your growing up years and how it has shaped you to be a professional. Anything, whether it's your teachers, uncles and aunts, parents, who made a difference to who you are today.
All made a difference. If you ask me, in terms of also hope in me.
Hmm.
And hope again is a very interesting definition I made for myself. I'm looking at my own life. Is hop to expectations, right?
Yeah.
As long as I saw hop to their expectations, they were happy and I was happy.
Hmm.
And they saw that I roll. I never saw them away from myself.
Hmm.
Whether it is my family, my friends, or my own colleagues, or who worked with me, we felt related. But one thing was there: not to be constantly in touch. See, then we are encroaching on each other's time and whatever. So whenever I need, we are there. That kind of feeling was there.
Hmm.
It's not that being constantly bonded means you have to be in touch every time. You are in the network. You are growing. You have your trajectory. You have issues. You're going to come back to me. I'll help you. That was what I learned in my entire journey. Whether I call up my uncle, whether I call up my friend, whether I call up my colleague in Godrej, whether I call up my boss who recruited me in Godrej, he's still there, 88 years, right? He's still there. When I call him, Mohan, tell me what you want, right? So, Sima, when he calls me up, yes, sir, please tell me what I want. So, it's not that. So, question is we have got together. A very interesting thing I learned on my life is that whoever comes to meet me, or who I go and meet, right? I believe that we have tried enough everywhere. We didn't get success. We come to meet each other. So now we see meet in relationship. This is not going to be. If I say no to the person, somebody says no to me, then we close the doors. So here I believe that the way I have grown in my life across all these years, right? Every person who has touched me and I have touched is connected to me.
That's so
I feel that
profound.
so brilliantly, and right now I feel it a lot right now. Because what I am today, when I was teaching in IES, I made a conscious effort to say we in all examples. I never said I.
That's so interesting. That's
Because I
something
said
which I
this
learned.
example is not mine. Example is my employee, my teacher, my boss, my competitor. All are contributed to the example. It's not me.
When you
So I was always to say is this is we did it.
Yeah, it's something which it's interesting. You say this because I have this habit of when I communicate, when I do write an email, it would always be we as a team,
Yes.
even if it's one or two of us. This is something which I imbibed when I first started to work. When I looked at my manager, and he used to always use we. And somehow I felt that it, because he wanted to bring in that concept of team and as a unit. I can relate to this so much. What has been the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Ever received? Be yourself. Be
Um,
yourself. Don't worry what others tell you. Just to give a little piece on this, I used to stammer a lot. In my school days, college days. In Godrej also I used to stammer. When I went to XLRI through Godrej, 81, I met a professor called Dr. Maggu. I was actually seeking myself. I didn't know what to, but I met him. Then he said, "You're stammering?" Yes. Come out. They go to the auditorium and think they're all idiots sitting there and start talking. Don't think they're all deaf. That was a change point for me. Because I used to think too fast and I thought people are, going to react so as to stammer.
Hmm.
Just got over it. So he told me this, Mohan, now be yourself. Just be yourself.
That is so profound. And what are those the memories you have, or you've and I know that you've been a recipient of many of interesting awards within your while working, but the memories which you still cherish, and you continue to make memories now with CII and IES, what
You want me to be very frank?
yeah
Is Rolling Stones gather the moss. You heard of that?
yes
So as far as I'm concerned, I just go on.
Hmm.
The task is given to me.
Hmm.
Right? The day I pause and think about the past, right, I go further into the past. So for me, I don't have too many memories except contextual nature we discuss. I'm very happy with what I've been leading till now. Because for me, I just think in very simple words, right? I been telling this to students for the last 20, 25 years is think simple, live simple, life is very simple.
Hmm.
Think simple, live simple, life very simple. You only have to breathe. So I really don't have, I'm very happy with what I have now today, right? And I'm sure, and also equally happy that others are happy with me, right? However the situation may be. So for me, I'm myself, I'm happy. And the day I'm to myself, I'm the happiest.
That's
So for me, it's not question of what memories I have. All I told you, for me, everybody who's connected with me, I can reach even today, because I feel it's connected. We're in a connected world,
yeah,
right?
we are.
So every connection for me is good memory only. For me, I have no connection which says that, oh, I have to be careful with ABCD.
Hmm. It's interesting. The saying is that we are all living, that we are all interconnected. It's a very closely connected world, but are we closely connected to each other? That's the big question.
So when I was learning UHV through AICT, FDP, and I used to ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
I used to ask question that tulsi plant, I have a money plant in my house. I don't know if I've told you, right? Which is as young as I am. It's coming right from Delhi. I'm taking it everywhere. Wherever I've gone, taking my money plant along. It's gone to thousands of other houses also. And everybody is happy. And even today it is there with me.
Hmm.
Right? Tulsi plant, I can feel it is growing. I
Hmm.
can feel it is not well. So I asked this question to that faculty who was teaching this. He said, no, plants cannot react, cannot respond. So I kept quiet. For me, everything responds, everything reacts. I had a cat in my house. It used to look after me. Can you believe? Cats have no loyalty to a person, right? To a house, they say. You should receive me at my car in my car park and walk with me up the stairs, in the lift till my floor. Why? Everything is connected, sir. When that feeling is there, and it's not question of feeling going mad. I used to sometimes think I'm going mad also, honestly. But I felt, no, it's right. They're connected. When she's in trouble, the cat is in trouble, somebody used to call me and say, I got stuck in the fifth floor outside, now please bring me down. At middle of the night, 2 o'clock, I got a call that your cat has got stuck in the fifth floor, bring it down. I called the fire brigade, called everybody. But how did it happen, sir? We're all connected. We're all connected. We're all... So the feeling is not one of touch and go. Right? You may get a good feeling now with me, may feel bad feeling with me. But the bad feeling just goes away in time. The good feeling remains. So we have to have that sense of connectedness, which I'm fortunate. I'm fortunate to my parents, my grandparents, my family, that these thoughts were brought in very early in my life.
Hmm.
That everybody matters to you in this world.
Hmm.
It's not one who keeps you happy. That person matters to you. But even others who don't keep you happy also equally matter to you.
So true. Do you ever think um, about your legacy? Do you think what would be my legacy? Do you ever think about it?
Very deep question.
Yeah, to a person who actually thinks very deeply, who feels connected. Do you ever think about it, or do you feel that I've just started? There's so much to be done.
That is also there.
Hmm.
That's why I'm still continuing to work and be connected to wherever I'm working, to the system, companies, everybody, right? And if I were to give an answer, my legacy is that it's a very difficult question, but I'll try and attempt it in my own way if I can, right? Is that should love oneself, explore oneself, and be oneself. Love oneself, explore oneself, and be oneself. You should not contain yourself by not exploring. I've done everything in life. I saw everything in life, right? But I still feel that that one has to be oneself.
Hmm.
One can't be carried away imagination and do something crazy and get caught.
What excites you when you see a student in the
I
college?
see Mohan Rao, Chota Mohan Rao.
Really? And what excites you when you see a young entrepreneur at a CI?
Same.
Uh-huh.
Mohan Rao. बढ़ जाएगा, बन जाएगा. That's why I say be confident of yourself. Be yourself. There's a true way of doing it. And no task is small to you.
Hmm.
just a couple of, I think a fortnight I was saying that even झाड़ू पोछा करना भी अपना काम है. I don't know if I told you in Godrej, when I joined in 78, right? In a year's time, we're making an exhibition there, right? Doing exhibition in the premise itself because we couldn't afford the hotel or something, I don't know. I was training, so I can't ask questions, right? So we were told to convert the go down into a, the warehouse into a exhibition center. मोहन राव साफ करो इसको. तो आई कांट आस्क, मैं क्यों, बाकी को लोग क्यों, मेरा काम ही नहीं है ये. किया सर 3 लोगों ने. बड़ा ह्यूज वेयर हाउस सर इन ओखला, राइट. वी कन्वर्ट द होल थिंग इनटू शोरूम, इनटू अ एग्जीबिशन सेंटर इन 1 डेज टाइम. झाड़ू साफ करके सब दिया, राइट. तो आफ्टर पीपल थॉट ये होने वाला नहीं है, हो गया. और पहले से टाइम से 6 बजे के पहले हो गया सब. बॉस को फोन किया घर पे, अब सर आके देखो, आप आए क्या? हाँ, ही केम 6 o'clock and saw the whole thing. Yeah, बहुत बढ़िया है. So that shows that nothing is beyond us. We categorize ये छोटा काम है, बड़ा काम है, हमारा काम नहीं है. And this is where I learned from all my bosses, whether Dr. Kanodia, whether from Eric Buchler from Switzerland, who was my CEO in Dishnet. If he sees a paper on the road, he'll pick up and put in dustbin. No job is mean. No job is mean. But if I don't see it, doesn't ever matter.
Right.
Right. Then I can't be faulted. But I'm conscious of that. So when I go on anywhere, I see any paper, I just pick up and put it back.
I do have one question before we wrap up this conversation, and we'll get into the most interesting segment of the podcast, which is the rapid fire. But you have worked with international partners.
Yeah.
You have worked in Taiwan. You worked. Today, there is this very interesting buzzword, ease of doing business. And, we are improving, they say. But I think we still have a long way to go. When you look at the times you worked with international, I think you continue to work with international. What is that one thing you feel which we as a country must adopt to make ease of doing business really worth it?
Wonderful. Our people should believe what we're doing is what we're interested to do. I don't know if I made sense to you. See, when we look at all these countries, they have the freedom to believe and do what they want to do. There are no, nothing is holding them back. Right? I can start a small workshop. I can get all the benefits you require, everything. But here I have to register the business. I have to, take tax benefits. All the huge kind of, controls that are put in front of me. There's no freedom. Right? There's amazing freedom there. If you look at the growth of semiconductor industry in Taiwan, it is amazing. It's not come out of formalization. Not formalization, no. So Moore was the person who set up that TSMC. Right? He was called back to set up TSMC. Because he said, I can do it for your country, so he was called back and he did it. Got all the support required. Where are they? Look at Switzerland. Where are they? Look at Ireland. Look at UK, US. Because they got the freedom. Here we don't have the freedom. Here, acha, tu karega kya hoga tera aage? Do we foster people? Do we foster our own children for entrepreneurship? Do I tell, okay, son, go ahead, how much money do you want? When will you give me back my money? Those thoughts come into our mind. And there, in all honesty, I'm telling you, my family, they've been free to do what they want. Right? My daughter's gone to Germany, she's done all that, came back, started a company, new invention. COVID happened, they got hit very badly. We supported them and they are back in business. How it happened? We never said it's not my business. What happens to me? We worry about those things than not support anybody. So I would say first the family. Why look at the government? Government is ours only, na? Why don't our family look at in a very progressive fashion? चलो क्या चाहिए मेरे बच्चे को, ये करना है, चलो क्या करें बोलो. Do we have that? And that feeling is there out there. I have not done much research, but in Taiwan I have done a lot of research. Each family there supports their children amazingly. They're forced to support. When you do it, I do it, he has to do it.
Hmm.
He cannot say I can't do it. Peer pressure itself among families is now in Taiwan, I don't know if you know, they never cook at home. They eat outside. They all eat outside. They eat together. Eat together. Communities together eat together. So that collective feeling is very important. And collective feeling is your failure, my failure is the thought we should come into our minds.
Hmm.
Why should it be your success is my failure is your success and your success? Why should you have those thoughts? Why should we allow things to fail? So this is where our Gurukul system, and if you go back, I'm sorry to bring you back to the whole thing. Our culture had entrepreneurs, sir.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I could not agree
It
more.
is not question of something system coming and doing it. It's within the system itself. The parent, the child. My grandfather left Mangalore and came to Bombay.
Hmm.
Right? Now, he didn't leave the house and he was supported. It's not too far back. It's just 100 years. So how did that happen? What have we lost? I think we have been enslaved by the British.
I think more than any external factors, we have been enslaved by our own mindset, our own thought process. Wonderful, sir. Thank you so much. We get to the most interesting part of the podcast, and this is also the final segment, which is the rapid fire. I don't know about the fire, but the questions are rapid, so we're expecting the answers to be rapid. We begin with the first segment within the rapid fire, this or that. Teaching versus learning.
Both.
Mhm. Structure versus freedom.
Freedom.
Books versus life experience.
Both.
Mumbai versus any other city you have lived.
All.
Uh-huh. A classroom full of students versus a boardroom full of executives.
Classroom for the students.
Okay. This is the fun and interactive segment. A quirky or an unexpected fact about you.
That I play tabla.
Okay. If you could have dinner with 3 historical figures, who would they be?
Historical figures.
Mhm.
Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Sri Vivekananda,
Mhm.
and Sri Abdul Kalam.
Mhm. He is, I can say historical. Yes, now. If you could give your students one rule to live by, what would it be?
Think simple, live simple. Life is very simple. Just breathe.
Is there a belief system that you strongly held at some point in time, but you changed your mind about it?
That has been my USP. I don't have any beliefs.
Okay.
I live the thing as required.
Is there a book or a movie or a life experience that deeply impacted you?
Tare Zameen Par and Three Idiots.
And is there a specific reason behind it?
The specific reason is that Tare Zameen Par really shows, it shows life in very different ways. I don't know how to explain to you, but it's very impactful to me. Because I don't think an entire 3 hours of movie I was crying. I don't know why is the reason for crying, I can't make out, but
And Three Idiots?
Three Idiots, it showed me how I evolved as an engineer.
Okay, the final question, sir. If your life were to be made into a movie someday, what would the title be?
Managing by results.
Wonderful.
And that is my name, Mohan Balaram Rao.
All right, sir. I know and I hope that you never stop, but is there still something which you hope to achieve personally or professionally?
Harmony and satisfaction of and like every night I have a peaceful sleep. And nothing to worry. And whatever I do I'm sure your audience that you're going to watch this, useful to them. And useful to them to track themselves in future.
Mm-hmm.
How much potential, all of our potential are same. There's no difference. In your potential, Santosh potential, Mohan potential is same. So how each one lives the potential that the Almighty has made us for. So that is the satisfaction that I get. That all my learnings and whatever I shared with you, the audience, I'm sure they can emulate or can see their own potential and live it to that. So when one lives with potential, one is happy. Nothing keeps you unhappy. Right? Every day is a day of 24 hours. I say 24 years. I say 24 centuries. It depends on how you look at the time. Look at the task. It can be as short as 24 minutes also.
Wonderful.
So every day one lives with the fullest extent, the potential that you're made. Right? The day one realizes it, one does it. One has been absolutely truthful to the God that has created us. I hope it answers your...
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Not too philosophical and not too, sounding too religious. But I think truly as an individual, I feel I am living to my potential and I know my potential. That's why I never feel like I want to sit down and relax. Even this is relaxation for me. Working is relaxation for me. Connecting is relaxation for me.
Wonderful.
Right? So it's as simple as that.
Thank you so much, sir. It's been an absolute honor and privilege to have you. I'm really grateful. No, I mean it. And I'm sure there's a lot for each one of us to learn from your journey. I hope you had a good time.
Yes, surely.
During this conversation. And there are many facets I really wanted to explore, which probably we'll do it another time. One of the reasons why, one of the aspects of this particular podcast episode is we're already working on a Bharat Startup series. We are having conversations with incubators, entrepreneurs. And I thought that having a conversation with you would encourage entrepreneurs to live their life. But I feel that this conversation will also strike the right chord with some venture capitalists who probably are holding back to support an entrepreneur because they're not sure about them. I'm so glad I could have this conversation. Thank you so much. In our podcast, when I started this journey a year and a half back, and much earlier, when I started Between Us, Between Us does not stand for you and me alone. It stands for me and me. And for me, every conversation I have with my guests, who I believe are storytellers in their own right, I think the most important conversation is that the one we have with ourselves. And through the course of the conversation I had with you, I also had a conversation with myself about how I should be leading my life as I move forward. So thank you so much.
Thank you for your soul-searching questions.
Thank you. And so that's it from this episode with Professor Mohan Balram Rao. I would say that each one of us need to understand our potential, how we can harness this, and how we could make our life, our community's life, and everyone around us better, and build an impact. I hope this conversation will help us in achieving that, or at least take the first step towards that. And until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Between Us podcast. The producer is Santosh Kumar and the associate producer is Samyak Kamble. The Between Us podcast uploads episodes weekly, and we'll see you next time.